I will use a survey that my teammates and I performed as the real-life situation. Knowledge issue. To what extent does a language and a logical fallacy influence reason? I will begin by analyzing this knowledge issue by defining the following key terms. Language are any type of communication or expression. It allows human beings to formulate ideas, particular interpretations, and understand how others think and why. Logical fallacies are failures in logic. But what is logic? This is the way in which the human mind processes information about what it perceives about the truth and reality. Influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of something or someone, or the effect itself. And reason, or an underlying fact or cause that provides logical sense for a premise or occurrence. It is affected by language, emotion, and perception. In relation to the real-life situation, the purpose of this survey was to gather information about human behavior and understand, through the collection of data, the role of human sciences in TOK. Ways of knowing and areas of knowledge. The first way of knowing that I would like to present is intuition. This is the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. An example is newspaper. Given that the failures in logic arise in the newspaper, as writers are very effective in provoking a language that shapes the reasoning of the public. However, through intuition, one is able to form their own opinion. Sensory perception. Grammar of a language will influence the thinking of its speaker. And, in this case, different perspectives will reason differently as they understand language through their own way. In terms of the area of knowledge, I would like to present human sciences. Sometimes, scientists deal with axioms, which are a statement or proposition that is regarded as being accepted or self-evidently true, and sometimes this may have logical fallacies in their language, and since they appear to be all right, then they choose to reason as if they are accepted and perform this experiment. However, sometimes axioms are often adopted as a basis of the hypothesis, which are then tested for their ability to explain data collected in some area. And if one hypothesis is found to be more useful than all of its rivals, it is regarded as proven in some sense. In terms of different perspective, implication, and the significance, I would like to start by presenting as a different perspective the fact that there is something in logical fallacies known as linguistic relativity, which holds the structure of a language, affects the way in which its respective speakers can conceptualize the world or influence their cognitive process. But what is cognitive? This is a mental process of knowing, including aspects such as awareness, perception, reasoning, and judgment. And since logical fallacies mean failures in logic, then different opinions and point of view arise as they reason differently through their understanding of language. Implications. This arises with inconsistency, when different parts of a reason, idea, opinion, etc. do not agree, or it as a whole does not agree with something else, self-contradictory in other words. And the implication of this is that different people may have biases, or they may reason their language due to schemas or present their own judgment. Then there's also the fact of circular reasoning, which is the mistake in logic restates the premise rather than giving a reason for holding the premise. I personally like to eat at home because I enjoy knowing where my food comes from and how it is made. However, I made this reasoning as I once read about eating organic food versus food that it has hormones, and therefore through the language that I was presented in this article, I then created this circular reasoning as my idea of what I should and should not eat. And in terms of the significance, there is a conflict between logic, known as truth, and validity. And I've understood that logic is presented or used in languages, since language are ways in which the human race has developed, expressed, and explained all ideas about life. However, then I understand that there's a fact called rationalism, which is a school of thought in which reason is an important source of knowledge. However, how do we gain reason in this example is through language. However, since language includes logical fallacies, then it just results with different perspectives. And I would end up with the following statement, which is whatever you think, there's a word, whatever you can